Hi, welcome back to the Truth Doctor Show. I'm Dr. Courtney, a licensed therapist, reacting to episode 5 of HBO's The Last of Us. Here we go. We the people. Oh, so these people are like the resistance. But they're attacking all of Fedra? Yes, they are. Jeez. This is a brutal world.
Did it feel good? Betraying your neighbors to Fedra? Watching us get thrown in prison? Watching us hang so that you could get medicine, alcohol, fucking apples?
Wow.
Kill them.
He's with Edelstein.
Are we really putting them on trial?
No, we are not really putting them on trial. When you're done, burn the bodies. It's faster.
Wow. Kathleen is out for vengeance. Kathleen is out for revenge. Kathleen is lacking remorse and lacking the ability to see these human beings that are right now locked in a cage as human beings. Thing is, though, this is where a world like this becomes so tricky, because what she is upset about is the fact that they were not seen as human beings either, that they were given up and traded for things like apples. When I was watching the way that she was able to be so cold and so cynical, what was coming up for me visually was that this compassionate part of her has been severed. Psychologically, mentally, and likely physiologically, she has cut off the part of connection. She has cut off the part of empathy. And we do that all the time. It can be on a minuscule scale, it can be on a grand scale, but we do it. When we get our heart broken, we can cut ourselves off from love. When we lose a child, we can cut ourselves off from wanting to have another one or wanting to be around children. When we have been lied to over and over again, we cut off our ability to trust. Another thing I find really interesting is why are so many people willing to go along with Kathleen's desire to find Henry specifically? I hope they explain it in this episode, because to have such authority and to have people killing massive amounts of people to find one person at the moment does not make sense to me. Okay, Henry and Sam. Okay, Sam is deaf. Oh, he did know where they were?
If we stick to the minimum, I think we can make it 11 days. So that's how long we have to figure it out.
Is he scared?
Yeah.
We have seen adults try to protect children from pain, from being aware of what's really going on. We saw Joel do it with Sarah. We saw Joel do it with Ellie. We saw Henry do it with Sam. And we also saw Fedra be as compassionate and kind as they could be to that little boy that ended up, I believe, walking up to the Boston QZ in one of the former episodes. As much as adults in this post-apocalyptic world can easily not see other adults as human beings anymore, they still want to protect kids in general. And that's something that I find really unique and really not surprising. As we mature, as we develop, we learn to reconcile with the emotions that we're feeling by either pushing them down and ignoring them, because that's the type of world or caregivers that we are surrounded by, or to really understand our emotions and to feel them. And honestly, both of those situations are painful. So for these adults, protecting children is in a way protecting themselves. It's trying to hold on to a sense of innocence and a sense of reduced pain, which is something that these adults cannot escape from.
He's scared because you're scared.
He's scared because you're scared. And coming from a doctor, that makes sense. I'm glad that he said that, and it's very, very true. He said, we're safe here. No one's going to find us. Are you sure? 100%. Such innocence. And that's what innocence looks like these days. I'm hungry. You know, he doesn't have a choice but to believe him. But he did push back. Sam did push back a little bit there, and part of it might have been because he was more physiologically agitated because he was hungry. Imagine having a child in this world that you are supposed to be looking after. This is such a scary world. The things that happen in the world of The Last of Us are things that would just tear us to pieces. And it tears us to pieces just watching it on TV. I think that one of the scariest parts of watching a show like this is wondering who you would turn into and what decisions you would make if you were in the position of these characters. And maybe that's why the game was so incredible. He told the truth. That feeling of loss, of confusion, of grief. Henry feels it too. What a sweet thing to do. He has to trust him. Sam has to trust Henry. He can't hear. So that's how they found them.
That's right.
It's a weird fucking tone, man.
That's just the way he sounds. He has an
That was
asshole.
a weird
Just tell him
tone.
He's okay.
Everything is great.
Dude.
I'm gonna trust you.
Trust.
My name's Henry. It's my brother Sam. I'm the most wanted man in Kansas City. Although right now, my guess is you're running a close second.
If you have the same enemies, then you may be able to be on each other's side. That was a great thing to say. It automatically introduced a similarity between Henry and Joel. And interestingly enough, this is a very similar thing that Joel did with Bill. When Joel tries to tell Bill, I have somebody that I love that I want to take care of, and we can really help each other out, which sounds a lot like, listen, I have this person that I'm trying to take care of, and the same people are after us.
How old is he?
He's 8.
The representation that they're showing in this show is really on point. The way that Ellie just asked Sam how old he was and Henry did not answer for him, Henry instead got Sam's attention, told Sam what was being asked, and then allowed Sam to answer. That is a true way that you engage with people that are in disabled communities. This is the way that you do it. You don't just do things for them. You don't become what it is that they're not able to do. You give them autonomy and agency, and it was beautiful the way that they represented this.
I'm Joel. Look, you ate, we didn't kill each other. Let's call this a win-win and move on.
I think we all know what Joel was doing there. He was defending against forming another connection. Everyone that he has formed a connection with has died except for Ellie, and he works every single day to keep her alive. But another thing to consider is that he's also been on the other side.
I've been on both sides. It was a long time ago. We did what we needed to survive.
So he knew what that guy was doing when he jumped in front of the car, trying to distract them so that they could essentially raid their truck and kill them. He knows what it's like to run, and he knows what it's like to tell people to run away from him. So he doesn't have too much faith really in either side. And I feel like that's something that's slightly different than those other three characters, because yes, they've engaged in violence. Yes, they've been exposed to violence, but they haven't taken it to the systemized, calculated ways that Joel has when he was tricking people by jumping out in front of their trucks as well with Tess, when he was having to murder people that weren't infected because they were trying to kill him. It makes sense that his shell is so much harder than these other characters at this point in time.
You always heard Casey Fedra was...
Monsters? Savages? Yeah, you heard right.
But you're not Fedra.
No. Worse. I'm a collaborator.
I don't work with rats.
Yeah, you fucking do.
This was such a good example of what happens in this world. We have values, morals, self-rules, and then we come face to face with the fact that we have no other choice but to go against those things. That's it. Like, that's it right there when it comes to feeling like you have to go against the decisions that you would make because you don't have any other choice. And we have seen that time and time again in this show. We've seen it from the very first episode when the Fedra officer shoots and tries to kill both Joel and Sarah. He got a demand. There are so many examples of us having to go against ourselves. If we put ourselves in the position of any of these characters, they've all had to make a choice as a result of their own suffering or as a result of trying to prevent further suffering. What would you do if you were in this position? Would you go against your morals, your values, your self-rules, or would you figure something else out?
Never killed anyone. And pointing an unloaded gun at you is the closest I've ever come to being violent. Haven't heard that in a long time.
Laughter again.
Here. So we enter the tunnels here, travel underground, and pop up here. West side north, residential. There's an embankment on the other side of the houses. We head down, pedestrian bridge over the river, free as a bird.
Going into a tunnel?
Everyone thinks that it's full of infected, including Kathleen, which means that we're not going to be running into any of her people. But you see, what I know is, it's empty.
You've been down there.
No, but the federal guy that I worked with told me that it's clean, completely clean. They cleared it out, all of it.
When?
Like 3 years ago. They're saying they're going to help us escape.
That was a smart move.
Right?
Come on, Joel. The way that Henry included Sam in the conversation was absolutely beautiful. I don't know if any of you caught that. He can't hear what's going on clearly. And if he could, then he would be participating more in the conversation, similar to how we see Ellie participating. When we feel included, when we feel like we have some knowledge that's going to contribute to safety or the plan or the goal or whatever it is, it builds up our esteem. And what that does is it allows us to feel more confident in ourselves and think quicker and be braver. At the age that Sam is, there's no way that Henry had a relationship with Sam prior to being in a survivalist mode, prior to living in this post-apocalyptic world. And so he's been able to still tend to Sam in the ways that he's needed because he's a special human being that has certain needs. One of them being somebody that can understand how to include them in conversations even though they can't hear them happening.
That's kind of a pessimist.
I'm
Not
not
my
her
dad.
Just point your light forward.
That was a hard
Really
line
was.
right there. I'm not her dad. He's not my dad. It's so funny that there's still judgment there too. Like, he's a pessimist. Like, dude, do you see the world that you live in? It kind of makes sense to be cynical and pessimistic and negative and disconnective. It really makes sense. What a perfect place for them to rest. Look at all of that kid stuff.
People went underground after outbreak day, built settlements.
What happened to them?
Maybe they didn't follow the rules and they all got infected.
Endure, survive. Endure, survive. Fuck yeah, man.
Now keep it down, we're not out yet.
Oh, come on. Can we just rest here for a while?
There was a comment from someone in last week's video, I think, that was accusing me of infantilizing Ellie. One thing I want to say here is I am reacting to the way that these characters are written, and they have held true Ellie's core as a child. And we can see that more in this episode when she is interacting with Sam. She wants to be in this area where there's toys and there's colors and there's soccer goals, and she loves jokes, and she can bond still because that innocence still remains within her. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that she is a child. Yes, she's older than a child, but she has still held on to those childlike behaviors and those childlike aspirations. And it's very important that we allow that to exist and not call it infantilizing.
If you were collaborating to take care of him, I shouldn't have said what I said. I don't know your situation. And I'm not saying they should let it go, but all things considered seems kind of cruel.
Sam, he got sick. There was one drug that worked, and, whoa, big shock. There wasn't much left of it, and it belonged to Fedra. And if I wanted some, I was gonna take something big. The leader of the resistance movement in Kansas City.
Kathleen's brother.
So, still think they should take it easy on me? Or am I the bad guy?
I have chills all over my whole body, because is that not the question? Who is the bad guy? Whose life is more important, Sam's or Kathleen's brother? Henry had to make that decision. That was a subjective decision. That's not an objective choice to decide whose life is more important than another's life. And in this world, those are decisions that have to be made over and over and over again. It's a really fucked up situation to be in. And I'm finding myself having a hard time describing this from a typical human psychological perspective, because this is just an inhumane world that they're living in. Just how do you make a choice like that? Especially when he says, you know, this was a great man. This man was selfless. He was always forgiving. And I still had to give him up to save the life of Sam. Kathleen would have chosen her brother. And that puts them at an exact opposition. That puts them at a perfect opposition. If someone ratted out my brother and I knew that he was beaten to death, I wonder if I would feel the same way. If my brain was wired where I was in decades of violence and scarcity and survival mode, and the government, like Henry said, raping and torturing people, what would happen to my brain? What would happen to my thought process? What would happen to my values and my morals? And what would happen to yours? And what would you do? And unfortunately, what happens often in these types of environments is that then that makes you weaker. It makes you more susceptible, because you aren't in the mode of, let me just protect myself. You're in the mode of, let me be a decent and good human being and try to protect all.
The answer's easy. I am the bad guy because I did a bad guy thing. But you get it, though. You might not be her father, but you were someone's. See, I could tell.
You waited long enough.
Ooh, he touched the button. He touched the Sarah button.
Who told you I was here?
Your mom.
You know, her mom is still alive. I bet part of her anger is living in the present moment with her mother's grief as well.
He said, as long as we were together in our perfect box, we would be safe.
As long as we were together, we would be safe.
He would be horrified by the things I've done. And if you've come to tell me that Michael wouldn't want me to hurt Henry, that he would want me to forgive, I know that too. He told me to forgive.
But now he's dead, so what's the point?
Where is the justice in that? What is the point of that?
Exactly. Wow. This is
brother was
so
a great
well
man.
written. Kathleen's brother, Michael, was to her what Henry is to Sam, her protector, the one that kept her safe. The pain makes sense. And it's terrible because it causes more pain. It's uncomfortable to say that wanting to kill someone because they killed someone makes sense, because it does make sense and it's so inhumane, and it's sad, really. It's sad is what it is that this is what it's come to, and that there's been decades leading up to these choices that people are making, and these groups and conglomerates of human beings that are being created and pitted against one another. And it's really hard to make humane decisions when you feel unsafe everywhere outside and every bit of you inside.
Make this right, go down the street, embankment behind the last house. And we're out.
No, he'll change his mind, trust me. This is how it goes. He's like, no, Ellie, never, ever, ever happening. And then I'm like, I'm gonna ask you a million more times. And he's like, whoa!
You know, in this show, the people really are far more dangerous than the infected.
You go out there, he's gonna kill you.
It's dark and he has shit aim. Nobody's gonna kill me.
Then he's gonna kill us.
Do you trust me?
Trust again. She does. What, a solo old man?
Put the gun down. Slide it over to me. And then stay up here for another hour. That's all you have to do.
Oh, he doesn't want to kill him.
Please don't do it. Please.
That was such a brief second in this show, but it is such a crucial part of Joel's character. When he has a slight head nod and he just says, please, like this desperation. It's like making me emotional. This desperation, like, please don't make me kill you. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill people. As violent as people are in this show and in this world, they are violent because of violations of their own humanity. I keep replaying that again and again, just that desperation to please not make me do something terrible again. Please do not make me do something bad again. And this is just such a theme. It's just such a theme. Did you notice that desperation? And what did you think about it? Oh, is that Kathleen? Oh no. Oh, run! Oh my god. Oh no!
There's cars everywhere.
Why do you think you're in front? Clear them.
I'll come out. Just let the kids
Henry!
No. Sorry. The girl is with the man who killed Brian and Sam. Well, kids die, Henry. They die all the time. You think the whole world revolves around him? That he's worth everything? Well, this is what happens when you fuck with fate.
Get ready to take him and run. Yes.
Oh god. And now she sees the man that made her brother die. Or at least was the catalyst. That That was so similar to the scene with Joel and Tess, where they're looking at each other and Tess is like, go, go. And Joel pauses. He doesn't want to lose this connection. He doesn't want to lose this relationship. And yet he has to leave in the same way that Kathleen had to just leave also. Oh no, a little girl. Oh no. All right.
Stop!
Oh no. Wow. Wow.
It's easier when you're a kid anyway.
Why?
You don't have anybody else relying on you. That's the hard part. Endure and survive.
Endure and survive. That shit's redundant.
Yeah, it's not great. You know, if you want to.
Yeah.
Wow, he opened himself up again to someone
I
new.
think it'd be nice for Sam to have a friend.
And another child to
Tell him
protect.
in the morning. New day, new start.
That was an interesting moment. He says, you need sleep. And what Sam does is he goes on the bed and he lays on it, not like we normally lay in our beds today, but in the way that he has had to lay on the floor in corners to survive. That's something that I think we can all take a moment to appreciate, is that when we walk into our bedroom, most of us, I hope all of us, we get in our bed, we put our head on our pillow, we tuck ourselves into our blankets and we go to sleep. That is such a privilege. It's such an unconscious, automatic thing that we experience. And we don't realize that we once learned how to go into a bed. We once learned how to tuck ourselves in, that our head belongs on our pillow. And you know, we learned this through observation. We learned it from being told directly. We learned it because we felt safe and comfortable. And yes, I understand people sleep in all different positions. I think that this was important and that they put it in there for a reason, to show that over the course of Sam's development, he never even got to experience laying in a normal bed. Are you even scared?
Never. I'm scared. All the time.
I'm really glad that they brought that full circle. Earlier in this episode, Henry tells Sam, Sam says, because he didn't know if it was okay to know that Henry was sad, or he wasn't sure, like, you could be hiding this. And now he has someone that's more of an equal to him, not a caregiver, not higher up on the hierarchical scale of society and protection and security, but someone far more equal to him that he could ask the question to, and that would give him more of a truthful answer. It's beautiful that Ellie said, I'm scared all the time. What that does is it allows and gives permission for Sam to feel scared as well. We do this thing often where we don't want kids to experience negative emotions, but we often need to allow them to experience negative emotions because they're going to experience them either way. And it'd be better for them to experience them with you and learn how to grapple with those emotions and what to do in terms of engaging in behaviors to reduce those emotions or process those emotions than to make them suffer in silence. I'm scared of ending up alone. What about you?
Is it still you inside?
If you turn into a monster, is it still you inside? Oh my God. No way. Oh, this is not going to end well.
My blood is medicine.
My blood is medicine. And you can see the caregiver aspect of Ellie's character here. Stay awake with me. What does she say?
promise.
I promise. She knows. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god.
Easy.
Oh my god.
Henry, come here, son.
And he said he'd never shot a gun before.
What did I do? What did I do?
Fuck. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Which way's west?
I'm sorry.
Let's go.
The way that they introduce characters in this show and then kill them is so incredibly heartbreaking. And I think like something that's coming up for me at least is like, no matter how much time you have with someone, when they die, it feels like their life was like a moment long. Like it always feels like it's not long enough. And we're getting like this internal experience over and over and over again in this show with different people. And then Ellie, and the way that she was able to portray a complete breakdown of everything within you in just like a subtle whimper with the tears coming down her face. And then at the end, this moment of Joel looking down and seeing that Ellie wrote, "I'm sorry," and just knowing all that that means. And how similar Ellie is to Joel in that it's suck it up, blame yourself, and move the fuck on. In a prior episode, when Tess had just lost her life, Joel is the one that turns around and immediately leaves because he needs to process what happened on his own. And now the roles are reversed. Now we have Joel who's sitting there over the graves of Henry and Sam contemplating what the hell happened. And we have Ellie who just immediately turns around and says, let's go, because now she is the one who needs to process the loss of somebody close to her. I understand that this is a TV show and there are things that we need to do as watchers of this show. It's going to bring up so much for us if we've lost someone, if someone that we know has been a victim of violence, if we have been a victim of violence, if we see ourselves in any of these characters or see people that we've loved in any of these characters. We have to move our bodies if we're capable of doing that, move our eyes or our hands if we're capable of doing that to activate the movement parts of our brains. And we need to process what it is that's happened. I hope that my episode has brought you just an opportunity to, I mean, of course, you're going to feel these things again with me as I'm feeling them or simply just by watching them. But I hope what this also does for you is let you understand that these are normal human reactions to seeing this type of content and these type of materials. And we should stretch and like become less tense. And I think many of us are watching this at night and then we're going straight to sleep. And so when you watch the next episode, before you watch my reaction, since it comes out 4 days later, please just give yourself some deep breaths. If you think that may be helpful, stretch your body before you go to sleep. Be open to having a conversation with the person that you're watching it with. If you're watching it with someone, to allow your brain to, just to process it a little bit. I get help processing it, reading the comments from you all. So I really appreciate that. And I hope that I help you process it in some way, at least just make you feel normal for having this be hard, or for having certain opinions or viewpoints, or struggling with this show altogether, and what it really represents about what could happen if something like this really did happen. I'm Dr. Courtney, licensed therapist. This is the Truth Doctor Show, and I'm so glad that you exist on this planet and that we are not living in this post-apocalyptic world. See you next Thursday.